A common issue I see in React applications is people not using the prop types library to the best of its ability. The prop types library lets us document in code the type of props that a React component is expecting and whether they're required or not. I'll leave a link to the documentation in this screencast. It's a very powerful library and you really can declare very expressive prop types, and a lot of people don't take advantage of this. Let's take a look at this liked or disliked component. It takes in one prop called the sentiment, which can either be liked, neutral, or disliked. And depending on which one of those values, it will output either liked, neutral, or disliked to the screen. We've documented this as a prop type. You'll see here we're saying that sentiment is a string that's required. Let's look at the usages of the liked or disliked component in app. So the first time we pass it in with neutral here, which is correct. We pass it then here with liked, which is also correct, and then disliked, which is also correct. But notice we've then made a typo in the final one and we're passing in some nonsense string. But crucially, we're not seeing any errors in the console about this, and also on the screen we're seeing disliked. The reason we're seeing that is because liked or disliked knows that it only takes the three strings, liked, neutral, or disliked. So it's saying if it's liked, output liked. If the string is neutral, output the neutral text. Else, we know it must be disliked. This isn't quite true of our application. We're passing in a nonsense string for one of them, but because it's not liked or neutral, it's defaulting to disliked. We can use the prop type oneof here to make this a much clearer prop type declaration and cause an error in the console with our typo. So we're going to swap prop types.string for oneof. And oneof takes an array of all the potential values. So we can say it's either liked, it's neutral, or it's disliked. If I save that and refresh, we'll now see that we've got an error in the console. Invalid prop sentiment of type nonsense string supplied to like or disliked. And it even tells us that we expected one of liked, neutral, or disliked. So this is a really nice way to tidy up your prop types. We can go a bit further here. Whenever you find yourself referring to the same set of strings over and over again, it's probably a good sign that you could create an object to house those strings. So rather than typing strings everywhere, we can refer to them via variables, and that way a typo will be more easily spotted. So let's declare our states. We've got liked, which will just say as the string liked. We've got disliked, and we have neutral. And I'm capitalizing the constants here. It's just a convention that I stick to, and many JavaScript programmers do, where constants are in all capitals for things like this. If you don't like that, you certainly don't have to follow that. And now let's create an object that contains all three of these. So we'll say const sentiment types is going to be an object, and we're going to put in liked, disliked, and neutral. And remember, one of the ES 2015 syntactic shortcuts that were introduced is that if you, rather than typing liked, you can just type it once. That's what I'm doing here. So now let's go down to our liked or disliked component, and where we've got the string liked here, I'm going to swap that out for liked. Similarly, we'll do the same here. And now we can go and update both our prop type and also the usages of it in app. So let's first go down to app. I'm going to swap here neutral out for the constant neutral. Do the same with liked. And we'll do the same with disliked. And notice now that we don't have this as a constant, so it's much more obvious when we've made a typo. For now, I'm going to leave that be because I want to demonstrate how prop types still work with this constant. So now we can update our prop types oneof to, rather than be an array of the three strings, we can pass in the three constants. But what we can also do, because we created this object up here, is we can just pass in the values of the sentiment types object. This means as we add new sentiment types, we won't have to keep updating our oneof declaration. So we're going to change this, and we'll say it's oneof object.values sentiment types. If I hit save now, we'll still see we've got the same error, but now we're using constants to refer to those strings rather than typing the strings all over the place. That, coupled with the prop type, leaves us way less open to typos, and hopefully mistakes will be more easily spotted, and you'll save a bit of time debugging.